This is Jane Marie.
And this is Soko.
You are now listening to the Queer Ambition Podcast.
The Queer Ambition Podcast is the only podcast celebrating rising LGBTQ professionals,
providing advice on navigating the modern workplace,
and discussing polarizing topics within the community.
Now listen up. Welcome to the Queer Ambition Podcast. Our guest today is Charlotte Glasser. Charlotte C.B. Glasser is an LGBTQ entrepreneur living bi-coastally between the East Coast and Los Angeles. You may have seen her on Netflix's popular series, Dating Around. Episode 6, Mila. Check that out, y'all. A proud co-producer of New York City's largest and longest-running LGBTQ party, Hot Rabbit, CB hung up her production hat to focus on hospitality while working as director of marketing for LA's prestigious h.Wood group. Most recently, she has accepted a position for the Wynn's newest five-star resort and casino, Encore Boston Harbor, where she focuses on player development and marketing strategy. Welcome to the podcast, Charlotte.
All right.
Hey, thank you so much. That was great. Wow. What an intro.
Yeah. Got to do it big.
I know. I feel like we just read my resume, so I'm kind of embarrassed. But at the same time, they've all been amazing feats, so I'm proud too.
Yeah, you have a lot going on.
I'm exhausted, but in the best way possible. It's a good thing.
God, so I'm going to switch the topic. So this week, we're here to talk about where have all the queer spaces gone for women. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but we brought Charlotte here today because, one, I had no idea. Hot Rabbit, you were the producer of that?
I was a co-producer. It's still being produced today by Emily Hall Maresca. It used to be Emily Hall Smith. She's now married. And she founded it, and we co-produced for a few years together, and it was phenomenal. One of those. Yeah,
that Hot Rabbit used to be my shit.
I knew you looked familiar. My
shit. Like Friday night, we round up a whole bunch of random people, like from OK Cupid everywhere. It didn't matter, and just be like, let's go to Hot Rabbit. So
we started at Covey. Started Covey.
And at Hot Rabbit.
Yep.
Did you go to Monster, or were you with us at Boots and Saddles? Monster. So the OG location.
Yeah. Crazy down in that basement, man. Crazy.
I've
had some nights.
Had lots of nights. Oh my God. Lots of nights, but
it was fun.
Yeah. So we came to think about when you're a lesbian or queer or whatever you want to identify as a woman. What establishments can you go to? Not just events or parties that are thrown for that certain day, but an actual establishment. And a fun fact, there were more lesbian bars in New York in the 1930s versus right now, right?
That's insane.
That's insane. So we're told we live in an era where this is more acceptable, more acceptance of homosexuality, but yet we're losing all these spaces. Okay? So I read a point that someone said that somehow that because society is more accepting, that we don't need those spaces, and mainstream spaces can be turned into that unofficial lesbian bar or lesbian space or queer space for women. I call bullshit. So let's talk about it. Why are they disappearing? Jay Marie, give me your first thoughts.
I feel like I talk about this often with people, while I'm at Cubby, squinched like this, where, holding my drink because everybody's in there. And now there's a whole bunch of guys in there, gay guys there, because, that's what happens. But I just kind of think that lesbians, they couple up. They couple up and then they stop going out. Then they just cuddle up with their cats and they fucking don't go out anymore. And then what happens is that place you met that Wednesday night at Clifford's where they got the real strong drinks so you can meet other lesbian bitches, that place is closed down because you guys never went back. And then your friends coupled up and they never went back. And then when you guys break up, because that happens, you don't have anywhere to go. And you got to go to San Francisco Pride next year and meet a girl. And you know what I mean? That's what I really think it is that we couple up and then we stop going out. It's cheaper. Babe, we don't have to do that. Babe, we could wear our sweatpants. Bitch, go out. You know what I mean? I think what it is that people, when they get in relationships, they stop dating. That's a whole nother issue. But that's what I think it is.
All right, Charlotte, what do you think it is?
I have a couple of different takes on this because this is something I've talked about a lot, having been in the industry of producing these events. So like you said, not just like having parties to go to, but like the places to go to. We worked really hard on branching out on locations. And I did independently as well when I was in Los Angeles, finding mainstream venues to do LGBTQ plus parties at, to bring those different demographics into a place where they might not have normally felt comfortable going. So, excuse me, I think it's true what you said about, that somewhat the society is starting to blend together. The mainstream is taking on a lot of the LGBTQ trends and different talent and performance opportunities and just formats that are similar to the LGBTQ party format. I mean, Studio 54 was modeled after queer nightlife. So we know that mainstream America, at least, is modeling their nightlife after what the queers created. And so it makes sense that the mainstream is now being infiltrated by queers and these spaces are disappearing. On the other side of the coin, you've got corporate America that doesn't want to support LGBTQ plus venues and initiatives because they don't feel like they're as financially beneficial for them to support. So it's harder for us to get sponsors for these events or for these locations because they don't think a niche market can conjure enough financial revenue to justify their spend. Only during Pride is corporate America really paying attention to what the LGBTQ community is doing. And that's why all of those ads and everything, all of a sudden they want to own the LGBTQ market and start selling to them like, hey, we support queers. Like, look, we put a rainbow on a sneaker. Like, why aren't you wearing our kicks? And that's the whole thing. If you look at it from the whole year, the 365-day calendar, there's only one day where corporate America is truly, or 1 month rather, June, where they're truly supporting LGBTQ nightlife and hospitality. And so the mainstream places are just usurping our straggling community and bringing them into their spaces. And sometimes it's a good experience and sometimes it isn't. But I think the reason lesbian spaces are disappearing is because we, as a community, don't want to support our own because there's so much internal toxicity from one another because we're always competing and we're always trying to stand on our tippy toes and all that. And so, yeah, it's like you complain there's nowhere to go, then you don't support the places that exist. And if you don't support the places that exist, and we can't verify to our sponsors that we're worth sponsoring, and then we can't have enough money to create our own space because our small event never took off big enough in order to be able to justify purchasing a building and paying $10,000 a month in lease fees. Yeah. I mean, this is a business issue. This is not just like, why are the lesbians spaces don't exist, but it's financially, it's an economic struggle. It's all marginalized demographics that are having this issue, not just LGBTQ. And that's why in my position at all the different hospitality groups I've been with and with Encore Boston Harbor now, I'm working to include LGBTQ specific activations because if we don't have anywhere specific to go, then at least the people who have the money need to speak to that audience and create these spaces and create inclusion and proper language trainings and all the opportunities for those two places to come together as one and have a great experience.
Right. And I want to add to that because, you say that, it's because LGBTQ is this niche and then people don't want to support this type of niche. But I want to combat that because there's so many gay spots. There's so many places for men, I feel like. I go visit a new city for the weekend, right? San Francisco. I go in my Google search and I say lesbian bar or lesbians, but whatever.
And Lexington closed, so there goes that one.
They closed. I think they brought up a new one last year. I forget the name. We went there.
Jolene's?
Yes, Jolene's. So
they're amazing. They started as a promoting group as well. They did U-Haul, which is a big party in San Francisco. Right. Jolene is the creator of U-Haul, and I met them when I was in LA, and they did an amazing job doing a pop-up at Dinah Shore 2 years ago. Blown away by their ingenuity. They're a great brand to support, whether it be U-Haul or Jolene. So San Francisco queers, get over there and start spending some money.
Were you at Dinah 2 years ago?
Yeah, I was hosting 2 years ago.
Did we go to Dinah 2 years ago or was it 3?
I don't know. We were there.
Side note.
I was there 3 years ago too, hosting. I hosted 2 years ago and 3 years ago. So
we were probably there with you.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of us. Anyway.
I wish I could remember,
but that's hard.
Good times.
So stay on track, guys.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like there's so many gay male spaces. Like even when I type that in, right, my Google search, I look at all these places, they're all men dominated. They're all male dominated, right?
So why is that?
So I see even in Atlanta, new gay bars popping up. You know what I mean? Like,
Atlanta, they got to service the community over there.
So, but what I'm saying is, why do men have so many, women have so little, right? So I start looking at like men do spend more money. Is that the reason?
They make more money, so it's easy for them to spend more money.
So I was going to go with that. Is it the whole gender pay wage gap thing that comes into this, where men make more money?
It's all of that. It's just like what we're saying. It's partially political, it's partially economic, and then at the forefront of it, it's sexism. Like there's always those brackets of there. It's true. There's sexism. There's racial discrepancy, and the two are constantly working together against women, and then women in all of the different details that we can be.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is. And I don't like to say that. I work amongst men. I want to believe that my value and my financial satiation is equal. But I don't know that. I mean, if you look at the statistics and we listen to the news, which is where I'm getting most of my information, we're not. If you look at women's soccer, I had a guy the other day be like, oh my God, let's watch a real sport. And I was like, it's soccer. It is a real sport. It's just women. And I'm sorry that the men didn't win, so we have to watch the women. But I mean, if I could get paid more to lose and do less, I'm down for that. So, by all means, I get it. Why would a man fight for a woman's rights when they're getting more? I don't know. But it is. It's political, and it's all this corporate BS and all of the fucking margins and analyzing the data of each demo. And like, it's crazy. And having to sell these ideas to mainstream environments and putting ourselves on the line. It's like I'm doing a fucking mitzvah every time I walk out of to the grocery store, because I'm just being me and I'm educating people that we exist and there's some visibility. And just like any feminine presenting LGBTQ woman has to come out every time they're hit on, I have to come out every day, explain why I want to shop in the little boys department. No, I'm not a pervert. It's what fits me, bitch. Like, come on.
It's so crazy. Like, the Queer Ambition podcast, we talk about lots of topics here, but, sadly, a lot of them boil down to sexism sometimes.
Which sucks. Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Let's take that component out for a second and just look at like where the spaces are going. And if you're looking at it from a community issue, you're right. They're coupling up and they're not supporting each other. And, they're mixing with the mainstream for whatever reason. But then the other side of it is just corporate America, economic spends. It's literally like which community which community do we want to own? Who are we investing in? Who's worth investing in and why? And how can we create those spaces?
So are we completely wrong, right? Because, three queer women sitting here, all we want is like acceptance, right? That's like the bottom line, equality, all that shit. So they're like, well, we're giving it to you. You can come to this bar and there'll be a whole bunch of straight people here, but so what? We don't care that you're gay here. So like, are we wrong for wanting to like kind of have our separate space, but also be able to go to the straight bar and not be, beat up until somebody asks us to kiss each other or something crazy? You know what I mean? So like, are we wrong for wanting equality, acceptance while also wanting our own separate spaces?
I have a response, but it's so good. Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
So there's two different perspectives on this. I've heard a lot about it because Hot Rabbit was LGBTQ plus. Mm-hmm. So men were included, allies were included. And a lot of people were like, they were frustrated with that because I'm going with purpose. I'm going to cruise. I want to find a woman because I like women and I identify as a woman and whatever. And so my answer to that is, as long as the mainstream environments are training their front of house staff and security on appropriate protections of LGBTQ sensitivities and needs, then it's cool to support those properties. And it's cool to commingle in a space that's for everyone, not just one demographic or sexual orientation. Mm-hmm. On the flip, no, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a space that's specifically for, women looking for women. There's nothing wrong with that. We have women's, co-working spaces. Look at the Wing. There's always going to be a time to be with like-minded people in a space and wanting to make room for that conversation and that kind of understanding. So no, there's nothing wrong with it. I think we need to stop policing the two and just support both and figure out, look, if we're being properly, like hosted and supported and treated, then support those places. The places that are not doing that, but they have Ariana Grande and we all wanted to go, but somebody asked you to kiss there and the security didn't back you up.
Yeah.
Where are you putting your money? Spend your dollars where you want them to make an impact. Don't spend your money in places. Every dollar counts. Don't put your dollars in the places that aren't putting it towards your voice being heard. Put the dollars where your voice is worth being heard.
Damn, Charlotte, you got an MBA, bruh?
No, but I would love one. I actually been thinking about going back to school. But this is my shit. Like, I'm telling you, hospitality is my thing. And it started because I was producing events, and I've always worked in nightlife since before I came out and even after I came out. And now I'm just on the corporate side of it. So I'm able to kind of look at these things with a firsthand experience, because I was a party goer, then I was a party thrower, and now I'm a party, connoisseur, and being like, here's what you're missing, and here's how we can make this more inclusive, and I'm constantly fighting the battle too. Like, these conversations are conversations I'm having daily. So this isn't like, I'm really happy that we're talking about it on your platform, because I want this conversation to continue, and I want people to think about all of these different things, whether they're part of the LGBTQ community or not, and recognize that, like, if you're in the office on behind the scenes of a venue, whether it be a nightclub, a restaurant, a bar, or a party, this conversation's being had. And it's being had with corporate sponsors, with venue owners, with general managers, security teams, front of house staff, and then every patron that you ever engage with. That's just facts. Okay.
I want to ask you, and if you can't answer, that's fine. Is your current employer at all interested in supporting the community?
100%.
Hosting events for them as well?
I'm glad you asked that too, because a huge part of why I took on this role for Encore Boston Harbor was because they knew about my resume and my activations in LGBTQ spaces. And when I said, I think we should be sponsoring Boston Pride because we're new to the city and we need to tell this market that we're here and we support them, they did that. They put their money where their mouths were, and they supported Pride in the best way possible. And we're continuing to work on creating LGBTQ specific events in and around the city. I'm actively in meetings this week and next, and I don't want to talk too soon about what they are because, until you get the green light, you never know what'll happen. Mm-hmm. But the most important, highest up people on the ladder within Encore Boston Harbor are having these meetings with me, taking in my opinions and my proposed events and being like, let's at least hear out the entire thing and then see if we can do this. That's amazing.
I'm glad you're there. Yeah, I'm glad you're there. We need representation.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
On all levels.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
My company's been really supportive of me about my presentation, about my initiatives, like everything. I had a patron come up to me while I was working on the floor the other day, though, that was like, I want a real host. And I was like, well, I'm an executive host. Like, what can I do for you? And they're like, no, I mean like a man, not whatever you're trying to be. And I was like, I'm just trying to be me, and I'm going to let you be you and go find someone who can help you. Because I just didn't want to, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to educate and bring visibility. And just having that interaction with this person is going to open their mind. And maybe there was other thoughts going on or other things going on in their day or other experiences they had that I know nothing about. So my reaction is what I can control. And I did the right thing and represented myself in the community that looks and feels like me properly. They, on the other hand, should be ashamed of themselves. But I'm not, because I know that every time that happens, it's a step towards making an impact in the right direction. Maybe they didn't come across anybody who was LGBTQ presenting before. And now they have. So the next time they come across someone, it's not going to be as shocking maybe. And maybe now they'll learn a little something about themselves and be more open-minded for the next person, as opposed to being a little bit nasty like they were to me. But I can take it. And I'm glad that I'm on a team that supports me so that other LGBTQs that are hit with that kind of negativity, I want it to go through me first. I'd rather be like a filter for the rest of us. I'm cool with it. I'm used to it. I've been in a lot of these different nightlife spaces for a long time, being the only girl or the only LGBTQ or both. And I don't mind. I like the attention, and I like the call to action that it puts me in. And I like to, like I said, I'm a problem solver. So if you got a problem, I'll solve it. And if your problem is me, let's talk about it. Right?
No, you damn right. No, yeah, for real. More people need to be like that. That's what I'm saying. That's hilarious, though.
Soko, do you have any questions? Because I have one last question.
Go ahead, J. Marie. You got all the questions today. I'm just watching. I'm here. I'm a listener today.
Am I being too chatty? I can stop.
No, fantastic. This is great. I've been chopping this up 1,000 ways. But what I wanted to ask you is just last question, I promise. If you had to give a piece of advice to anyone that's, really looking to start hosting parties or just get into nightlife, get into hospitality, specifically within the LGBTQ space, what piece of advice would you give that person?
First of all, I want to let anybody who's listening that wants to be part of LGBTQ nightlife or just nightlife in general or throw their own party or whatever, all the things you mentioned, let them know that they can always reach out to me and I will give everyone my formula on how to win in this world and how to do it in what I think is the most economical way to make sure you're safe with your financial promises and you put yourself in a position to succeed. So anybody who's looking, always hit me up. I'm always trying to help people do better and I love this work. And so the more people we can have building, the better, I think. But the advice I would give them is to not throw the party for yourself, but throw the party for everyone else. Because if you throw an event that's just for you, then you're, again, pigeonholing yourself into a demographic that's this big. But if you're thinking about what everybody would want in their experience, what makes everybody feel safe, and what makes everyone feel comfortable, and what makes everyone have a good time, then you're probably not missing too many points, and you won't hear a lot of contention from your patrons.
That's good. Because the first thing I start with, so all right, Soko, what do we like? What we want to? The first thing I'll start with.
Yeah, girl, but you see that happen. A lot of those nights don't succeed, and I think that's because they're too specific. It's like, oh, I want a night that's like all this, all that, and it's good to find a niche or a specific genre. You can have an 80s night, but if you don't think about the talent on the roster for that night, how you market it, who the bartenders are, all of the different details that go into making the experience of that night, then you're just throwing yourself a party and only you and your 6 friends are going to like it. Mm-hmm. You know how people always go to the DJ booth play my song. Well, you're not the only one at this party and somebody else wanted this song, Right. So I always think about that when people are like, hey, can you play the song? Yeah, I know. I want to hear my jam too. I want you to put on the song that I get on the bar for. But at the same time, the DJ picked this list reading the crowd. There's 100 million of us in here, hopefully, maybe 1,000, not just you. So hopefully your song gets played, but think about the 300 other songs that are played that night are for some, for the rest of us. There's everybody likes something different. You got to put a little something for everyone.
Charlotte, you are a true host. You really think about your audience and that also makes you a good marketer. Not bad at all.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm having fun with it. I'm trying my best out here and I appreciate your acknowledgement. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Of course.
Literally the perfect person we could have picked for this topic here.
I told you.
You did. I told her. I was like,
I know who we're going to get.
I was like, we need someone that can speak to this. She was like, I think I know somebody.
I feel so seen. Right? Thank you.
What's
Thanks
so
for validating me.
I said to her, I was like, I think I know someone. I was like, know someone? I don't know this woman, but I'm going to tell her. I'm going to ask her if she'll come.
I think I hit you back really quick, right?
No, you did.
No, you were awesome.
Her back real quick. So it was and she hit me back. She was like, yo, here, boom. I was like, okay. All right,
I hate that.
Happen.
When you're trying to plan something, from a producer mind, I get it. You hit someone up hey, will you want to DJ on this night? And they're like, yeah, I'll let you know in 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm literally just sitting by the phone being I can't cross this off my to-do list until you hit me back. Yeah. I'm going to die right here by my to-do list if you don't hit me back right now. Yeah. Whenever someone hits me back, I'm like, let me answer you. Let me answer you right now. Let's just do that. Either you're in or you're out. Just tell me the truth. I just need to know so I can keep my list being crossed off.
You're right. It's so simple. It's so simple.
That. I get so stressed out. I want to do everything right away. I don't procrastinate.
But that's why you're successful. Seriously, sometimes you got to take some time to celebrate yourself, Yeah.
Success is subjective. We're all successful in our own ways. We got to celebrate the wins, So,
if you're feeling good, you're living good, you're healthy,
That's all that matters.
Yeah, man.
That's true.
Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We're probably going to have to ask you back at some point.
I hope so. Don't play with me. My heart can't take it. Next time, let's all meet in Hawaii and do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh, you got to see her bungalow too. I can't wait.
Invite us to the bungalow. Let's go.
So silly. Where can the people follow you, Charlotte?
You can follow me on Instagram at cbglasser. And yeah, there's pictures of my dog, my girlfriend, and me. Enjoy.
And Glasser is Glasser. Okay, follow her. Not like she needs any more followers, but if you want to, you could definitely follow her.
But message me. Don't just follow me and like my pictures. If you're not talking to me, you're not a real follower. I want to make friends, not followers.
Oh damn! You want their DMs?
She wants to touch the people.
Yeah, I like having conversations like this. It helps me gain perspective. How am I supposed to know what people want if they don't tell me?
True facts. All right.
Damn.
Yeah, so invite me to your parties. I would love to come. Tell me everything. I want to be involved. I don't want to miss out. I got FOMO across the globe.